time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
I don't know why those guys couldn't throw strikes tonight. Logan Chapman had no problems doing it for, I think, close to 6 innings today. We just didn't throw strikes. There's no excuse for it.
We can continue to get better offensively the second half of the year, and we can stay healthy on the mound. We got a chance to be a good second half team. So, but it's a great way to get the first win of the second half of the year tonight.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. What a 22-hour spread it's been since the last time we talked to you. A lot has gone on. USC has picked up commitments in football and basketball. The football commitment, the quarterback Ryan Helinski out of California, who will be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. Your first chance to hear from perhaps the future of Gamecock football. There's no reason not to think that way. This is an Elite 11 quarterback, a guy with a tremendous right arm and runs okay as well. But he throws the football apparently extremely well, comes from a football family. His late brother was a quarterback at Washington State. The whole family will be moving to Columbia to be there. And also his brother will be enrolling at med school at USC. We'll get the whole story from him from out in Hawaii.
Best quarterback recruit since when?
Well, I mean, Jake Bentley wasn't chopped liver when he was committed as well. And Jake, I think, is living up to the billing, considering he was thrown into the fire so early and hasn't had the greatest tools with which to work until at this point as everybody has gotten better and matured around him.
The offensive line. People would tell you the best recruit they had was a recruit that nobody thought about when he came in. That was Connor Shaw, who played 1 year of high school quarterback.
True that.
But he was a winner.
Well, he was a perfect fit for what G.A. Magnus was trying to run in that offense. So you'll get to hear from him first right here on Sports Talk tonight at the bottom of the hour. And also for Gamecock basketball, Frank Martin goes and gets a big man from up in New Jersey, 6'9", 245 pounds, Alonzo Frank. And we've got details on him from his coach. His coach will join us tomorrow night to talk more about him. Comes from the same school as Chris Silva, the same coach as Chris Silva, and has a lot of, well, not necessarily the same type of skills as Silva, but he is a low post, kind of a power forward type player, but has some perimeter skills as well. So good 24-hour period there for USC starting last night.
And it wasn't necessarily a position of deep need for South Carolina, but the one thing that they did need, they needed competent bodies, especially with Kadeem Gay leaving the team, Ibi Doumbia leaving the team, and kind of a lot of things in flux right now for South Carolina as they try to retool and reload this team and rebuild from their success 2 years ago. Didn't exactly pay off immediately last year. They did not have at times last year guys in positions where they were number one, naturally suited, and number two, naturally suited to play as long of a time. So the fact that they get in a guy who looks to be, I don't want to say collegiate ready, but at least able to contribute right away, not only with his length, but with his athletic ability, is a very big bonus for South Carolina.
Well, I think the one thing is, and because that team played well at times,
yes,
they did not have consistent confidence. As I was talking to Phil last year, right at the beginning of the Final Four run, they did not have a guy like Sindarius Thornwell who looked at a teammate and the look told you, you better. They didn't have that kind of guy last year.
Yeah. So that's a good start for Martin now. He's got a guard, a good shooting guard in Cousinard committed. Now he's got a big man committed. He still has a couple of Scallies to play with. We've got news on TJ Moss related to USC and his recruiting. We'll tell you about that in our recruiting report. And baseball, of course, Will was in Charlotte last night covering South Carolina, North Carolina. It was a terrific game for about 8 innings, and the Gamecocks just came apart.
6 walks in a span of 3 innings, and all 6 of them come home to score, and then it gets away from South Carolina in the 9th. You know, it's really hard, Corn, especially when you think about the fact that the last two games were very non-competitive for them in this series. And the fact that not only were they able to get a lead, but they got Logan Chapman about as deep into a game as they have all season. And he looked to be strong, but so much of what South Carolina's undoing is they could not execute with ducks on the pond. The Chris Cullen bunt decision drove everybody batty, and a couple of base running blunders as well for South Carolina led to some missed opportunities and pitchers not being able to throw strikes. And the margin for error for this team is infinitesimal. And that's not just against North Carolina. That's against everybody. And it's not even that North Carolina was that much necessarily better than them. It's just South Carolina left the door open, and North Carolina ran right through it.
46-8, I think, over the last 3 games, the series in favor of North Carolina.
Your lot of math is correct. I believe that's true.
Yeah, let's see, 11-3 last night, and then one game was 20-5,
and then 15-0,
and then 15-0.
About right.
Yeah, it's pretty one-sided.
I think it's the North Carolina air.
Must be.
No. Well, it's weird. I asked Mark last night, and you'll hear this part of this on our spot with him in our next segment. Why would you want to play this series again if you're going to continue to not be competitive in it? And I understand what can be gained from it, but you're not gaining it right now. And I don't know if the program is in a position right now where they can be getting embarrassed by their border rivals in a conference that, by the way, is not as highly ranked in the RPI as the SEC is.
It's hard to understand. I mean, both teams are using midweek pitching. It's not like terrible. North Carolina's trotting out a weekend ace and South Carolina's not. They're both using midweek pitching. So I guess you have to conclude North Carolina's got better midweek pitching, guys that can throw strikes and get you out versus walking. And North Carolina's just played more sound baseball, fewer errors, timely hits, big hits, home runs.
Doesn't do the conference any good either. I'm sure that the SEC will probably say, hey, guys, after this series ends in 2019, maybe you want to chill for a while and maybe build up your program.
You play it.
Yeah, it's a good series. You don't stop it because you can't beat them. I mean, you got to have the mindset that you can beat them.
But you're not, Corn.
Well, I know that, but I mean, it's baseball.
It's not enough to just play it. You have to win.
It's baseball, and any given night, the right guy on the mound can make all the difference for you. And it looked like they had that going last night, and it all came apart.
They did.
Clemson played a little power ball last night with Coastal Carolina, won that 6-1, so they continued to roll. So the Tigers go up to Notre Dame this weekend. The Gamecocks go to Kentucky. I know in Kentucky they were talking today, Mark Kingston was, about weather issues. They may have to consolidate some things in that series. I imagine maybe up at Notre Dame it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, they're saying some possible snow on either Friday night or Saturday for that series in Kentucky. And obviously a little bit of nor'easter also kind of developing over the Northeast, and that always kind of affects the Chicago and Indiana area. And the one also to look forward to for Clemson, not to look too far ahead, is that Tuesday game in North Augusta where they will play the Georgia Bulldogs, and we'll be at that game. And I think that's something where Clemson is running out of opportunities to impress the folks who are in the NCAA tournament committee. They only have a couple of more opportunities against teams in the top 25 and highly ranked in the RPI. So not only is it important for them to hold serve, but in those limited opportunities down the stretch, they need to prove that not only can they host a regional, but that they're good enough to host a super come tournament time.
Maybe I'm belly aching too much, but I really do worry about pitchers who get used to pitching in warm weather, and then you send them to Notre Dame and it might be snowing. It's something about, especially a breaking ball pitcher, and what it does to their arm to have that.
Not even arm, just the grip. I mean, things that you're not necessarily used to having in your arsenal. It's a tough thing, but when you play in this conference, the ACC probably has as wide a swath as any, especially in college baseball, just because of the different kinds of places you can play, all the way from as far north as Notre Dame and Boston College to as far south as Miami.
Well, if you had Watson to win the Masters, go ahead and scratch him from.
Yes,
I'm talking Tom Watson, not Bubba. Now, Bubba still got a chance, but Tom Watson won the par 3 today at 68, oldest to ever win the par 3 at the Masters. So he's automatically eliminated from winning the real tournament. Nobody's ever won the real tournament after winning the par 3.
He's not enrolled to play in the actual tournament.
Yeah.
So there was no way he could win it, even if he.
So he's not even in the field. I didn't realize that.
He's not.
Yeah, I guess I should realize that.
He played his last one a couple of years back. They made a big deal about it.
Yeah. That's right. You're exactly right about that. Well, congratulations to him.
That memory thing of mine,
We'll hear from Don Williams as we preview the Masters coming up tonight here on Sports Talk and a whole bunch more. We'll be back in a moment.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
All right, just for the record,
Yeah.
Tom Watson today shot 6 under par, 21 to win the par 3. Fleetwood and Peters at 5 under, 22. Hadwin, Nicholas, Reevy at 4 under, 23. Wesley Bryan played. He shot even par, which is, of course, 27.
If I was in that tournament, I would avoid the par 3 like the plague.
Dustin Johnson, even par, 27. Well, then again, maybe you want to be that guy who wins the par 3 and then goes and wins the tournament. There's nothing that says you can't.
I mean, there isn't, but
know,
other than history.
Bubba Watson shot even par, 27 today. Fuzzy Zeller, 126. The worst score that I saw, the par 3, was let's see, Molinari. No, Molinari 8 over par 35.
Ugh.
There's another 8 over. Lin, Yuxin Lin, amateur from China, shoots 8 over par. Anyway, that's the goings on at Augusta. Plus Tony Finau.
He had a hole-in-one, and whilst celebrating it, trying to get his family to kind of come up there and celebrate with him, he dislocated his ankle.
Oof.
And you saw it on the camera, and he basically stopped, put it back into place. You could see it. It was so bad.
It was like he turned it really poorly, and it looks like something was jutting out, and he just sort of snapped it back into place like it was one of those little toys that you snap pieces onto.
Robot.
Yeah, and he got back up and walked away. I wonder if that's going to affect him for the tournament. So we will hear from Don Williams to begin our coverage of the Masters tonight. Don will be here at 7:05. Coming up, we'll hear from the baseball coaches, Monty Lee and Mark Kingston. Ryan Holinsky will join us here at the bottom of the hour to talk about his commitment to USC plus more in recruiting. And tonight is an SC Wild night with the captain, Billy Downer, coming your way at 7:30 tonight. If you want to jump on the program, 800-956-7266 is the number to call. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com, on Twitter at sportstalksc. Our Periscope up and running, SportsTalkSC, Periscope on Twitter. You can also catch us on our YouTube live feed as well on our YouTube channel. A couple of other notes. One from Augusta National. They announced today the establishment of the Augusta National Women's Amateur Championship beginning next year. 72 best players in the world coming to Augusta. The final round to be played at Augusta National the Saturday before the Masters.
Fantastic thing. Fantastic thing.
How about that?
I would have liked all 3 rounds to be put there, but I know they want to try to keep the course as immaculate as possible. I think that it's a great thing for them.
USC pitcher Colby Lee has been dismissed from the program, according to John Whittle, citing a source close to the team. He was not used much this year, appearing in just 2 games. He pitched a good bit for him last year, but never caught on with the new staff, apparently. And so he has been dismissed from the Gamecock baseball team. And this afternoon, the Braves. How about the Braves, man? Continuing to play decent baseball, 7-1 over the Nationals at SunTrust Park today.
It's early. It's early.
Yeah, but it's
early.
If you're the Braves and you're a Braves fan, you're looking for anything that gives you hope. And today, Mike Foltynewicz was very, very good as he went 5 1/3 innings, 8 strikeouts, 4 hits, and 2 walks. And the Braves get the win. And they won last night as well, did they not?
Yeah, 13,
I believe that's back-to-back wins.
13-5.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Scherzer loses it against Atlanta for whatever reason. I think his last 3 or 4 starts against Atlanta, his ERA is above 6 against the Braves.
And the young man Turner having a good day for the Braves today. Apparently swinging Tucker.
Preston Tucker.
Yeah, 3-run homer. And off to a good start with the Braves, has 8 RBIs in 6 games. Other finals today in Major League Baseball, if you weren't paying attention, the Yankees won today. The Yankees win as we had Judge and we had Stanton and we had Sanchez all homer.
Where were you in the lineup?
Not consecutively.
Where were you
but
in the lineup?
But they did homer.
With this we thing.
Yankees win. We win 7-2. Mets, they win 4-2.
Certainly did. Over
Philly. We beat Tampa Bay, by the way.
Who cares?
Houston beat Baltimore 3-2. Arizona shuts out the Dodgers 3-0. I told you about the Braves score. In the 7th, Angels and Indians are tied at 2.
Oh, Tani went deep again.
And Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Pittsburgh leads 2-0. All right, there you go with the baseball. What else you got? Anything else?
Want to talk to the baseball coaches from Clemson and South Carolina?
Well, let's jump to the phones for a minute or two and see what we got there, and we'll get to the coaches here coming up as we'll get to Brian's attention here in a moment. We'll get to our phone calls. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Let's go to Glenn. Can we go to Glenn? No. Where are we going? Well, we're not going to Glenn. We're going to wait and see where we're headed next. In the meantime, how was the mood of Mr. Kingston after the game last night?
Not good. He was not very good. He was somewhat perturbed, I think, by what happened yesterday. I think he felt that they had the game in the grasp and said as much when we talked to him last night.
Well, let's go.
I don't know why those guys couldn't throw strikes tonight. Logan Chapman had no problems doing it for, I think, close to 6 innings today. We just didn't throw strikes. There's no excuse for it.
When did things kind of start getting out of control, did you feel like?
Well, I think, obviously in that, gave up 8 runs in the last 2 innings. Going into the 8th inning, you had a tie ball game. You had 2 teams going at it with either team that could have won the game at that point, and then we just imploded in the bullpen. And that hasn't happened very much this year, but it happened tonight, and that's why the game got away from us.
What was your message to your team?
That we should have won the ball game. That we went 8 innings, and it was a tie game, and if we throw strikes like we normally do and we execute, then we can win that ball game. The score is not indicative of what that game was. Going into the 8th inning, it was 3-3. So I told the guys that we need to get to the point where we feel like we should win that game, and then we do the things that it takes to win that game.
Can you talk about the decision to bunt Cullen? What was your thought process?
That was a power arm on the mound. He was going right at him, and obviously we don't bunt very often, but in a 3-3 game, first and second on base, I thought it was the right move. It backfired. It didn't work, but I'm not going to second guess it.
What happened on that play at second when the runner he run into Jonah? Is that right?
Yeah, it was just another hard slide where, from far away, it's hard to tell. Did he go over the bag? I went out there once again just to fight for the guy, just in case it wasn't a legal slide.
What's your opinion of this event? This is kind of your first time here. What do you think of it?
Yeah, it's a great event. We just need to win it. It was really great stadium, great city, great fan support on both sides. Two really storied programs. It's a great event, but I'd like to win the thing, not come here and lose.
Is it something you might want to reevaluate after the contract is up next year?
Reevaluate how?
To continue it?
Well, I don't know why we wouldn't continue it at this point. I mean, I think both schools love it. I think the fans love it. I think the city loves it. It's a great event. I don't know why we would reevaluate.
I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful to Mark, but if both schools both loved it, then the attendance wouldn't have decreased each of the last 3 seasons. And while you have made the series closer, it still isn't that close. And I don't know why you bunt with a guy who homers previously in a game. That didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing people are questioning as far as strategy. As far as playing the series,
but they
I think it's great.
if it worked.
I think it's great that they
wouldn't question if it had worked.
Also true, but again, you can look back and say, don't know if you would agree with the decision. It worked. You got lucky. You got bailed out. But there's the thing. You're using a guy who doesn't usually bunt to be a sacrifice man. Why are you pointing at me?
Because you say he doesn't what?
Doesn't usually bunt.
Well, maybe that would have caught North Carolina by surprise.
North Carolina had a squeeze bunt that worked.
They did.
Mm-hmm. The series is worth playing. I mean, it's lopsided right now. You don't quit a series. Look, if you're going to use that attitude, South Carolina wouldn't play Clemson in football. It's so one-sided. I mean, that's not the reason that you don't play the series. You play the series because the fans do want it. Yeah, it doesn't have the gloss that it had at the beginning. And I think it's because right now the two teams are not in the top 10. When they return to top 10 status and they meet in April in the future in Charlotte, you'll have big crowds.
Anytime South Carolina has the opportunity to be in a sporting event in Charlotte, they got to be there.
Even if they're embarrassing themselves?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're not going to do that all the time.
You're not going to embarrass yourself all the time?
So that's what you did when you were little, take your ball home when you get beat?
Welcome back into Sports Talk, everybody. South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, Professor Tom Hayes, Ryan Leonard, once again behind the glass, taking your phone calls. We'll get back to phone calls and other things coming up in a little bit. Right now, though, let's welcome to Sports Talk for the first time, his first interview on radio since announcing at around 5 o'clock Eastern time a commitment to South Carolina. Quarterback Ryan Helinski, a native of Orange, California, but currently out in Hawaii for a little spring break vacation. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing?
We're doing great. Congratulations on your commitment. Thank you for joining us tonight. And, of course, we've been following you as you've gone through the process. So for you and your family, considering everything that you guys have gone through in the last 4 or 5 months, what's it feel like for you to make this decision?
Man, it's a relief and it's a confidence decision. I got a feeling yesterday when we were in our hotel room that South Carolina was the place, and I talked to my older brother Kelly, actually, who's in the opposite room, and I said, "Hey, Kel, I think South Carolina's the place, dude." And he said, "Okay." And the next day, we were spreading Tyler's ashes at a lighthouse out here in Hawaii, and then he's like, "Wait till we talk to Ty about it." So I waited till the next day. So yesterday I decided that I was going to commit. And then I asked Tyler, like, "Hey, Ty, you think South Carolina's the place?" And I got a yes from him. And ever since then, I think it's been the right decision. And I called the coach this morning right after I talked to him. And I think I'm 110% confident and comfortable with my decision.
Two things. What connected with you in South Carolina? And then tell us about the phone call today. Who did you talk to and what was their reaction?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when making my decision about South Carolina was the coaches. I got offered probably second week of this past season by Coach Muschamp and Coach McClendon. I talked to them on the phone, and their relationship with me and their attitude towards me in the recruiting process hasn't changed since then. And I could tell that they want me and they need me there. And Coach Werner has just been an extra add-on to that. And I could tell they're real in our relationship, and they haven't BS'd me since that first day they started recruiting me. And then, of course, number two, today on the phone, Coach Werner was on the phone, Coach McClendon, Coach Muschamp, Coach Dillman, all the coaches were there, Coach Lattimore, Coach Dillman, they were all there. And just having them on a conference call with my family in the same room as me, I think it was a big deal to have them and my family all in the same room, basically together over the phone.
Ryan, I know that this, again, like you said, has been a difficult time for you and your family. What does it mean to have not only their support, but to have them around you as you guys kind of make that move cross country? And how did they feel about moving to the Palmetto State?
Yeah, I think this decision is not just my decision. I think my parents and my big brother Kelly are confident in it as well, and they've helped me through this process, which is just I can't be more thankful. And just all the countless hours they've put in to helping me get to where I am today, it's just so awesome. But I think having them come with me and having Kelly go to med school at South Carolina, I think it's a big deal. And just having them, I mean, Kelly and his girlfriend were already looking at houses in Columbia today, and my parents are doing the same. So we're all in, and I know they'll be close by if I ever need something.
Tell the people here in South Carolina where we look at football as a religion, not just a sport, and particularly the SEC, from a guy from the left coast watching an SEC football game. I mean, what really enamors you about the SEC and has been also a draw for you to play in this conference?
Yeah, I think after seeing the spring game this past weekend, I could just get a glimpse of what it's like. Out here in the West Coast, you can go to a USC game or the other USC game.
I say, well, be careful there.
Exactly. The other USC games and UCLA games, and you could tell, like, people will just go and it won't be really full, and they'll cheer and they'll be, okay. But here they're all in, and I want to be a part of something like that. And a football family, a tradition that Coach Muschamp has brought here with Coach Werner and Coach McClendon, and the future that it holds. I've already talked to some West Coast recruits about coming to South Carolina, and they said once I make the move, they'll probably make the move too. So there's a lot of good news coming here in the Gamecocks' future.
Interesting. Couple of things for you. I know you're from Orange, California. You're going to have to lose that. And all in belongs to Dabo. Muschamp is all gas, no brakes. So you want to somehow work that into your lingo as well.
All gas, no brakes.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah,
Make sure you work
that's their
that in.
slogan for the spring. Yeah.
Ryan Helinski joining us here on Sports Talk, committing to South Carolina today. So what do they tell you? What does Werner tell you in kind of breaking you down as a quarterback that he likes, what he sees for you, and his expectations for you when you get to South Carolina in 2019?
Yeah, I think talking to Coach Werner, he's been the realest guy out there in the recruiting world for me. And, of course, that's a big decision for me when I made the decision. But I think after talking to him about his plans for me, his plans are very similar to Coach Muschamp. They want me to come in and start competing right away and be a guy for them that they can rely on, because they can see that the person I am, I can take that pressure on my shoulders and just keep pushing through and be a quarterback for them that they see can learn from Jake and probably exceed or work to exceed his accolades in his career.
What do you think you do well, Ryan, and what will you be working on the most as you enter your final high school football season?
Yeah, I think the best thing about me is I pride myself on my work ethic. That's the biggest thing, because I always get guys with me in the weight room. We always pump the weights and get working, because I remember last year at this time, my only offer was Montana State, and I just didn't stop working. You know, I could have easily said, you know what, I'm settling for that, but I just kept working and got bigger, better, faster, stronger, and just kept looking forward to playing ball because I love it. One thing I got to work on, though, is probably just calming down the game a little bit. I calmed it down hugely from my sophomore to junior year, and you can see the stats climb. And I think if I calm down my game and just be a little bit more confident, I think I'll just continue to rise.
Keyshawn Nixon, cornerback, straight out of Compton, you can say, in California. Have you talked to him yet about how he had to first deal with the heat and the thick humidity that's in South Carolina that you would be having to work out in?
Yeah, I already talked to him, not about that, but I've talked to him about committing and how awesome of a place it is. I actually have a phone call set up with him either later tonight or tomorrow that we're going to get on the phone and just talk a little bit about just how the transition worked out for him. And I think that could be very beneficial to myself. But he's a great guy, and I know me and him are going to start working on Chris Steele over here at St. John Bosco to get these West Coast guys over to South Carolina with me.
What's been your relationship with the quarterback room?
Yeah, I think I texted Jake. I texted Jake after the spring game, actually. I said, hey, great job today. Thanks for having us. And he said, appreciate it. Let me know when you're coming back. And I went to lunch with him on my first visit. And he's a great guy, I could tell. And I could tell all those guys are great kids because a lot of them came up to me when I was there, gave me a handshake. Some gave me a hug, and they just seemed like they were excited to be there and just be excited to be in the program. And I think that's one of the most important things in a football quarterback room.
Yeah. How are the waves in Hawaii today?
They're pretty nice, actually. It's got a little hurricane-type weather this morning. Super rainy, super windy, but it's calmed down a little bit. The sun came out, just got back from the beach, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I couldn't either. Hey, what a great day for you and your family, man. Congratulations once again. Thank you for joining us, and have a great rest of your summer. We'll be watching and keeping in touch as you go through your senior season. Best of luck to you.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, there you go. Ryan Helinski, who will be joining South Carolina 2019. And this is one, there's just no reason why this guy won't succeed in a big way.
Sounds like a nice
in South Carolina.
Sounds like a nice, mature kid. Like, really, for a high school junior, man.
And you have a little bit of a connection to the family.
Well, he and I have a mutual friend, or at least his family and I have a mutual friend with Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf went to Wazoo, and his late brother went to Wazoo, and he says nothing but positive things about him and the family. Yeah, what a group. And the whole group's moving to South Carolina. The brother's going to enroll in med school and all of that. So it's a great time for a family that's gone through some tough times here in the last few months. Back in a moment.
The guys are always checking email. Send your comments or questions to talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, more of Sports Talk from Columbia's Main Street.
Yeah, Ryan Helinski, just to give you the details on him. By the way, Chris Steele, a defensive back from Bellflower, California, was the guy he was talking about who recently visited South Carolina, and I think Gamecocks have a pretty good chance, decent chance with him. Helinski, we have him listed at 6'3", 203. Last season, 3,767 yards and 33 touchdowns. His other offers included Boston College, Northwestern, Arizona State, Ole Miss, Georgia, NC State, Arizona, Washington State, Duke, Rutgers, Missouri, and some others.
Watching his huddle video earlier today. Impressive.
Got a strong arm.
Very impressive.
He's an Elite 11 finalist, which is a very prestigious thing to have on your resume. So we congratulate him and wish him the best of luck here in the offseason and going into his season, and look forward to following his career at South Carolina. What did I want to get to? Now, we'll get to the rest of recruiting coming up in just a moment, but I want to get to Monty Lee, Clemson baseball coach. And the Tigers last night defeating Coastal Carolina 6-1 at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. And in doing so, they avenged a loss in late March to the Chanticleers. They got some good pitching. They got some timely hitting as well. And generally, he was pleased with the performance last night and the direction the team is moving now.
What an incredible crowd here tonight. For two top 25 teams in the state of South Carolina, Coastal Carolina, a great program. They put it on us pretty good down there in Myrtle Beach, and we played a great baseball game tonight in front of 6,400 people. So had a great crowd tonight, played good baseball. Spencer Strider was unbelievable. Threw the ball very, very well. And in our bullpen, I felt like did a nice job behind him. Schnell and Marr was really good for us there. In the ninth inning, got two big pop-ups back-to-back, which we really needed. They started to get a little bit of momentum there in the ninth inning. So they did a great job. Defensively, made a couple nice plays. Wharton made a nice play in the gap. T.O. went back and made a nice play. Logan made a nice play to end the ball game right there on their fastest base runner in Rivers. That's a tough play to make against a good runner. So played a good game defensively. We took advantage of the free pass. We had 9 walks and only 5 strikeouts today. Hitting a couple double plays early with runners on base, but then Chris Williams got it going with the home run, and then we wound up hitting 4 home runs. Green, probably need to check his bat. So Birdie is banged up, trying to give us everything he can. He's basically playing on one leg right now, but I give Bert a lot of credit for wanting to be in there and DH today, hit a big home run. And then Logan Davidson in 2-strike count, big home run too. So we relied on the long ball and the free pass, and we pitched extremely well against a great Coastal Carolina ball club. So just really pleased with how we played tonight, and hopefully we can carry some momentum into Notre Dame this weekend.
One game beyond the midway point of the season, are you where you thought you would be coming into the season?
I don't really think about that too much because you don't know. I mean, I think going into this year, there was a lot of unknowns based on the fact that we had lost all of our starting pitchers. So we didn't really know what to expect. What we did know is we felt like we had a really good bullpen. And we felt like if we could get to our bullpen and we played good defense, we felt like we had a good defensive ball club. We felt like we had a good bullpen that we could turn to once our starters started to tire, or we had runners on base. We felt like we were going to be able to make plays and execute pitches. So we felt good about our club at the halfway point. If you had said, would you take 22-6? I mean, of course. I think the thing that I've been impressed with our ball club is we've won the games that we were in position to win. And we won some games that we were not in a position to win. The games that we've lost, we got beat for the most part. We just got beat. So, our team so far has done a good job of pitching, playing defense, and our offense has been up and down at times. Right now, we're clicking on all cylinders offensively. So if we can continue to do that, if we can continue to get better offensively the second half of the year, and we can stay healthy on the mound, we got a chance to be a good second half team. So, but it's a great way to get the first win of the second half of the year tonight.
Okay, Monty Lee feeling very good about the Tigers. Beer starting to hit. Of course, Chris Williams is continuing to hit. The thing he really likes is Strider coming out of the bullpen as a midweek starter, giving him some good innings. Right now, Higginbotham has been a little bit of a mystery on Sunday. He struggled, I think, the last couple of times out, and that's something that they're keeping a close watch on. They still feel like he's their best guy as their number 3 starter.
Very few teams are going to throw out 3 ace-level pitchers. I mean, there's always going to kind of be a wink link in the rotation, whether you're throwing on Saturday or you're throwing on Sunday. But that's when you take advantage of the fact that probably the other team has kind of a similar issue. So you basically win the game with offense. You have to win games in different ways to be successful in college baseball, especially over the long season.
No question about that. Just taking a look at the Clemson stats at this moment, and that was a good question about being at the halfway point. Now the season is really is chugging along now. You start playing 3 and 4 games a week. Before you know it, you're around 30-something games, and Clemson and South Carolina are starting to get to that point in the season. If you're South Carolina, sitting on, 12 losses now? 12 losses in 29 games, I think, 17 and 12, I think.
17 and 12.
Yeah, that's not the kind of ratio that you want. Clemson 22-6. But talking about Higginbotham, the ERA has climbed over 4.11 ERA for him. And I think they are, expecting him to be, much better than that. He's given up 16 earned runs. That is the most on the staff at this point.
The problem for South Carolina is there's really no easy series left for them.
Well, it's the SEC. It's life in the SEC. I mean, Kentucky, we talked about them last night. I mean, they're 3-6 in the league, but they're ranked number 9 in the country. The Gamecocks still have to go to Arkansas. That's going to be tough. Then they get, LSU's coming to town. And then, they got to go to Vanderbilt. And, they get Ole Miss at home. And, they'll finally catch a break when Missouri comes to Columbia.
Missouri just took 2 of them.
They're ranked. Yeah. And then Texas A&M. You're right. This could be, if they don't pick it up, they're looking at about 25. Let's see what 7. They're looking to be about a 23-25 loss team.
It's okay. I looked at all these series after all the deep counts that the Gamecock pitchers were running into last night. So
it really means nothing because nobody thought that Kentucky would have any problems with Alabama, but they did. And South Carolina has played their best baseball against the teams they should be drubbed by, except for last night. But then you throw in the fact that that's a midweek game, and then that's cause for a little thinking there.
All right, to the rest of the recruiting, following up on the interview with Ryan Helinski in basketball, South Carolina got a commitment from 6'9" Alonzo Frink out of Roselle, New Jersey. Roselle Catholic. Dave Boff is his head coach and thinks he's a very fine player, strong low post player, can also drift out on the perimeter. He picked South Carolina over Georgetown, made it official to USC back on March 23rd, and really liked it, and that pretty much sealed the deal. He averaged 13 and 8 last season. The coach tells us there are 2 juniors that he has that Frank Martin is watching. 6'6" Khalil Whitney, he says a top 30 prospect, and 6'2" Josh Pierre Luis. Now in football, USC recently offered offensive lineman Anthony Wiggin, 6'5", 300 at Lackawanna Junior College in Pennsylvania. He has 3 years to play too. He said that offer definitely makes USC a top school on his list. Loves the idea of playing in the SEC. Maryland, Nebraska, Louisville, Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia, Ole Miss, Cincinnati. Other schools he is looking at. He has been to Maryland, from Maryland. He'll visit Penn State for their spring game. He also plans to visit Pittsburgh, and he plans to get to USC this spring or summer. USC made the top 8 with offensive lineman Dante Lucas of IMG Academy. Missouri, Louisville, Florida, Oregon, Miami, Florida State, and Alabama also on the list. Point guard TJ Moss of Memphis will take an official visit to USC on April 13th. He's also looking at Memphis and Oregon. USC offered 2019 quarterback Jacob Zeno of San Antonio. Today, linebacker Keith McGuire, linebacker Derek Boykins visited Clemson. Place kicker Patrick Nations of Walhalla goes to Georgia Tech Saturday. Defensive lineman Alex Huntley of Hammond will visit Ohio State today. Be right back.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
A busy edition of Sports Talk on this Wednesday night, the eve of the Masters. More to come. Clemson football, we'll hear from the Tigers after their practice. Dustin Johnson talking about playing in the Masters this year after hurting himself a year ago this day, the day before the Masters, not being able to play. He's good to go this year and one of the favorites. Don Williams in just a moment. Had a couple of other quick recruiting notes to drop in. Don will understand, of course. Just a little while ago, USC offered 2020 defensive end Damon Clowney of Baltimore. That's Davion's cousin. And in basketball, John Rothstein of CBS Sports reported that upstate grad transfer 6-foot Mike Cunningham will visit Tulane this week, April 7th. Louisville, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Florida State, he reports, also in the mix. He's also Cunningham in the past, as mentioned, USC is having some interest. So we'll see what happens there. Little dose of recruiting as we welcome in the master of all Masters reporters, the godfather of sports talk, the greatest play-by-play announcer in the history of journalism at the University of South Carolina. Hello, Don Williams.
So I can't tell you how much I enjoyed that recruiting report. So Mike Dunleavy, a classmate of mine, really doing the job at Tulane. Huh?
He is. Well, this is, yeah, that's right. Looking for a guy who had a good year at Upstate. They changed coaches, and he's looking for a new home.
Glad we have somebody else with the kind of sense of humor that I have when it comes to you.
No, he's being serious.
Oh, I'm just thinking about Phil from 1989 and how he would drone on for 30 minutes about this guy that PC was looking at. The competition was Catawba and Mars Hill, and how are you going to win?
Don't forget Bob Jones now.
Hey, man, you got a problem with PC recruiting? Come on. You're bigger than that. We're about everybody here on Sports Talk. You know that. Don, it's good to have you back with us. How are you?
Philip, I couldn't be better, and it's a pleasure to meet your new co-host. I'm sure the show has been tremendously upgraded.
Well, came back with disagree, but it's nice to have Will with us.
I saw him last night. He says hello and go Lakers.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. All right, so I know you're excited about this Masters as you are each, but, you know, with Tiger being back, I don't know if you can really elevate the interest in the Masters any more than it is on any given year. But, I mean, come on, Tiger coming back and playing well and the chance to win, it would be crazy if he's in the hunt on Sunday.
It would be, and I think I told somebody earlier today, the last time I can remember this kind of anticipation was in '97, and that was the year that Tiger was a rookie as a pro. He had played here as an amateur, but it was his first pro appearance at Augusta, and you'll recall, of course, he won with a record score and won by 9 shots, if I remember correctly, in 1997. I remember driving into Augusta on Thursday and listening to the local radio station, and they were talking about the prices that the badges were going for on the street, and they were astronomical. And taking into account the changing of the dollar over the years, they haven't approached that figure since until this year. And it's not just Tiger, although that certainly is driving the market, but it's the fact that Phil's playing well. He won a tournament just a few weeks ago. Jordan is playing better. Rory is playing well, and Justin Thomas may be, and along with Dustin Johnson, our local favorite, of course, Justin may be the best player in the world today. So you've got a convergence of 6 or 7 marquee names that could all do battle this week, and you could have a leaderboard on Sunday that could be incredible. And I said to somebody earlier, of course, that means that Brian Harman's probably going to win.
Yeah. How would you surmise the vibe is going to be compared with the vibe in the practice days? And not only that, but how do you believe the crowd and the patrons will embrace or possibly maybe even root against Tiger? I mean, how do you feel that will embody itself?
You know, it's really funny considering the negative feedback reaction that Tiger has had in his 20-year career. I mean, now trust me, he's had plenty of adulation. There are tons of Tiger fans out there, but he's a bit of a polarizing figure. There are equally as many people who root against him every week. And of course, after the 09 or 08 meltdown, he's been subject to intense criticism. Somehow, what has happened in the last year, I've been amazed at some of my friends who are just now totally on board with Tiger 100% of the time. And if he were to get into the mix, now depending on who the competition is, because Phil certainly has his fan base, but Tiger's going to be, he's a sympathetic figure all of a sudden, and they are just going to absolutely rally behind him, I think. Now, I'm not on board with that. I'll be the first to tell you. I told one of my friends a few weeks ago when he finished second at Valspar, I said, it's the best of all worlds. Tiger in contention and Tiger doesn't win. So that would be great on Sunday. The Tiger's right there in the mix, and then one of those other guys wins.
A lot of people like to see Lazarus rise from the ashes, but a guy who hasn't really tasted victory in a major, showing some spunk, I guess, the last time out in Houston. What do you think Ricky Fowler's chances are?
Bro, I got to tell you one thing. Now you're asking me. I'm the guest on this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, when Ricky won the Players Championship, it came on the heels of an article in Golf Digest where it was said that Fowler was the most overrated player on tour. And of course, they came in for intense criticism because he won that event and he wanted. I agree with that. Ricky Fowler is one of the most marketable players on the PGA Tour. He's insanely popular. But just win something, would you? The guy hasn't won besides that, which, he got red hot, birdied 6 of the last 7 holes and birdied 17 4 times. I mean, he had a great day, but he has not won a major, nor has he really been in serious contention on major championship Sundays very often. I think he's a very, very, very good player. He's not up to the level yet, and I don't know if he ever will be, of the 6 or 7 that I mentioned at the outset of the program.
Talking with Don Williams, previewing the Masters here on Sports Talk. Don will be with us tomorrow night and Friday night through the first 2 rounds. They do anything since last year to the course of significance?
I haven't noticed yet that they have. It's funny, Phil. They posted every final round CBS broadcast on YouTube a couple weeks ago. Yeah, since 1968. So I watched Bernhard Langer's 2 wins in 85 and 93.
Of course you did.
And of course I did. And it's striking. It's striking to notice how different the course is. I mean, 7 is 100 yards longer. 11 is 70 yards longer. And the list goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But no, to answer your question, I don't think they've done anything significant in the last year or so. But golly, what a different course it is from what it used to be. And of course, it has to be because of the equipment that and the ball that the players use nowadays. Now, for those of you who haven't been yet but are going to go, the most striking difference this year is the new merchandise facility. It is phenomenal.
Well,
until I did not buy you anything today, I apologize.
I'll be looking for whatever you bought me in the mail from the new merchandise facility. I'll be looking for that.
Wouldn't mind a polo.
Anything will be. I'll be happy with a little ball marker. Would be nice, Don. A little cheap ball marker with the Augusta National logo will be just fine.
All right, gotcha.
Hey, thank you very much. Enjoy the evening and get a lot of rest. I know you'll be out there when Jack and Gary are striking the first balls, and then Wesley Bryan, South Carolina kid, in that opening group. So I know you'll be getting a look at him in the morning, and we'll talk with you tomorrow night right here on Sports Talk.
That sounds good, guys. Y'all have a good evening.
Take care, Don Williams. I wasn't joking when I said the finest play-by-play announcer ever produced by the USC Journalism School.
He does a great job.
It's an unfortunate. Well, his career has turned out great. Had he been given the opportunities to be a play-by-play guy, he would have been at South Carolina. Would have been a fantastic voice of the game.
What are you more jealous about? The fact that he gets to go to that gift shop, or the fact that he gets to eat about 10 minute cheese sandwiches between now and Friday?
The sandwiches.
Came back up Sunday and started my prep. I know what it takes, first and foremost,
The guys are always checking email. Send your comments or questions to talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, more of Sports Talk from Columbia's Main Street.
All right, back at you here on Sports Talk. Coming up in just a moment, comments from DJ Dustin Johnson as he returns to action at the Masters after missing last season because of a back injury the day before as he fell off a stair in the house he was renting in Augusta and hurt his back to the point where he tried to play. Remember, he went out Thursday morning for the opening round, took some swings, and just couldn't go, and we were all disappointed because he was the odds-on favorite to win it all last year.
I think he said something a little effective. He was only going to get a one-story house this year.
Yeah.
At
his
Airbnb.
Well, the story was he was in his socks and was carrying his son down the stairs and slipped and landed hard on the backside.
One-story house. One-story house.
Yeah. Hey, I want to remind you to check out foundersfcu.com. Learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. USC women, USC's just become a dominant women's athletic program.
Yes.
USC softball, I shouldn't say women's softball because they don't have a male softball team. So USC softball ranked 11th, leading Georgia Southern 5-0 this afternoon over at the USC ballpark.
Nice bounce back for them after losing 2 out of 3 to Texas A&M. Their next chance to possibly see them on the weekend will be in a couple of weeks when they host Missouri.
And Asia Wilson picking up another award tonight, I think. And is it one of the big awards being announced tonight?
The Wooden Award is being announced tonight. It's the last of the big boys.
Yeah, and she's expected to get that, which would give her like every National Player of the Year award.
It would be a
sweep, pretty much, right?
What's the word I'm looking for?
Consensus?
Not consensus.
Unanimous?
That's the one.
Yeah.
I wanted to say consensus, but I meant unanimous.
Well, I think consensus is like the majority. Yeah. All right. So to Dustin Johnson, the Columbia native, the former Coastal Carolina Stars, got one major championship to his credit, has had opportunities to win others. Winning the Masters would be something very, very special for him. Didn't have that chance last year because of the injury. He's got everything in place now for a chance to make a run all the way to late Sunday afternoon.
I know what it takes, first and foremost, I know what it takes to get it done in a major. And, it's never easy. I've been in the situation quite a few times where I've had a chance to win. And, no matter what you do or how you prepare it, it's not easy to win. And, but I know what it takes. I've been there, like I said, a few times. And, this week's going to be no different. My preparation's been very good, though, I think, leading into this week. I came up here last Tuesday, Wednesday, and got a couple of good practice rounds in, and then came back up Sunday and started my prep again.
Yes, I'm Michael Espy from ABC in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm just wondering how growing up in Columbia really shaped your love for this tournament. Did you go here as a kid? Did you watch it on TV? What was when did you know that you loved this tournament?
Well, yeah, definitely growing up so close to here is, as a kid on the putting green, when you're, putting against your friends or even if you're out there by yourself, it was always a putt to win the Masters, especially, just being so close. And, I came here as a kid and then watching it on TV as a kid. And then in college, we got to come out here and walk around a few times after playing in the Augusta State tournament. They gave us tickets. So, it's always been special to me, and, it will be forever.
Justin, I know you're not a person who ever looks backwards, but was there any part of you when you came here for the week that thought back to what happened last year?
Well, yeah, because I get asked it every day. I hear it on the range or walking down the fairway, so I'm reminded all the time. So, yeah, I definitely was thinking about it. it is what it is. What it is. It was, kind of just a freak thing, and it happened. There's nothing I can do about it. Except, I'm here this year. Hopefully, I can tee it up on Thursday. We'll definitely be looking forward to that.
Dustin, the last 2 times you played here, you made a significant jump in where you finished. Did that just coincide with you starting playing better, or do you think you figured something out about this place in that time that makes you better prepared to contend here?
A little bit of both. I mean, the more you play here, the more comfortable you get around this golf course, with tee shots and where to hit it, and, the flags and kind of how to attack the golf course. So that plays a part in it. And then, I think just me as a golfer getting better and, kind of just all throughout the whole game, just having more confidence, hitting it better, driving it better, doing everything a little bit better. It always helps around here.
Justin, do you practice any particular part of your game in anticipation for the unique challenges here?
Probably spend a little bit more time, chipping and putting and stuff from off the greens around here than most weeks at normal tournaments. But, that's probably about it. As far as, throughout my bag with shots, I don't really, don't change anything or try to do anything different because I'm at Augusta. Just spend a lot more time, around the greens, chipping and putting.
All right, Dustin Johnson, you got to like his chances, man. You got to like Tiger's chances in the practice rounds. He was birdieing the par fives, which with Tiger, if he's birdieing the par fives, that gives him an advantage over most everybody else in the field. I mean, there are others who will be there'll be some eagles out there, perhaps.
So give me your pick. I want to hear your pick.
I mean,
I've got mine.
You could pick. Listen, I could pick any of the people who we have listed on our board here on Sports Talk as those who you want to win the Masters.
I want to know.
Wesley Bryan, Ricky Fowler, Sergio, Dustin, Rory, Phil, Jordan, Justin Thomas, Bubba Watson, Tiger Woods, Doc Redmond.
I'm going on record. It's going to be Rory. It's my feeling.
That's a good pick.
It's my feeling.
I'm going to reach here a little bit. I'm going to pick Tiger Woods.
That's very much like you. That's a very much like.
Why wouldn't I pick Tiger? You asked who I think's going to win. I think Tiger Woods.
I would have been more confident doing that had I seen Tiger win before Augusta.
Not worried about that. What I noticed in his game when he got to Florida, the short game looks really good.
The thing I don't like about what he's had over the last couple of weeks is that when he has kind of been in the hunt and been in contention, he's, I don't want to say puckered down the stretch, but he hasn't done well when the pressure has been on. He's been great early in the week, but when he's hit the weekend, you could tell that his, I don't want to say intellect, but just the shot making is not as much there.
Well, if he's great Thursday and Friday, he might build one of these huge leads like he's done in the past in the major. I just like his short game. I think he's very confident in his short game. His putting stroke looks very good, and he'll be long off the tee and reaching those par fives. Or I'm not going to say they're automatic, but he's going to get a lot of strokes under par on those par fives, maybe even an eagle or two here and there.
He needs to be able to prove he can keep it in the fairway because, as you know, the rough there very unforgiving.
25% of the voters in our poll want Tiger to win. 20% want Phil. 16% want Dustin Johnson.
How do you feel about Don there? Not necessarily in Tiger's camp or having his back, so to speak.
In whose camp?
Don was not in Tiger's camp.
No, Don's a man of the world. He doesn't just jump on the latest hot thing.
I've always been a Tiger fan.
7% want Wesley Bryan. Let's check the write-ins and see who people want to win in terms of write-ins. We have anything new. Somebody wrote in Christopher Thompson. They want to see Toph win, our buddy from across town. Somebody wants Spurrier to win. We have a vote for Trump in here. We have a vote for Arnie. That'd be great. I'd love for Arnie to come back and win one more. That would make for a big story.
Resurrection story. He was talking about Lazarus earlier in the show.
And two want Bill Murray to finally win the Masters.
Spurrier needs to worry more about catching footballs at spring games than he does about his golf game.
We are waiting for post-Clemson practice stuff to come in. Nothing yet that we've seen from Dabo. I'm assuming Dabo was talking today. They went inside the stadium for their practice. They had some recruits in to watch. We'll report on that later on. If we get some good post-practice interviews for you. We'll put those up on our website, SportsTalkSC.com.
And maybe get to them in tomorrow's program.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We're going to take a pause here on Sports Talk. The captain, Billy Downer, who, you know what, that name just doesn't fit. He always is smiling. I want to call him the captain, Billy Upper, here on Sports Talk. Because he's always smiling. He's not a downer. He's an upper.
Is that a fact?
He's coming up next with SC Wild.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. And your host, Phil Kornblum. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
With the captain, Billy Downer, here in our Columbia studios. He's in a great mood because he's able to talk to us about the great outdoors and watch some softball, his favorite sport. up on the big video screen here in our Sports Talk studios in downtown Columbia. You're a happy guy.
It's a double bonus.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
You get to see me.
I get to spend time with Phil Kornblut, of all things.
Can't top that.
No, hard to.
That's the best part of your day.
Watch some NCAA softball. Enjoy the moment. And we're going to talk about the great outdoors.
I want to ask you a quick question before we get to your topic tonight, which is the South Carolina Archery in Schools Tournament. How was the big shindig end of last month? The
Palmetto Sportsman's Classic
over at the fairgrounds. Did it go well?
It went very well. It's hard. People ask all the time. They go, well, how is the Classic? Or it didn't seem as big this year. Well, in the past, we had one large building, the Candy Building. Everybody's stuff in. So you walk in there, you kind of judge the Classic by if there was elbow room only, that's a big Classic. It was a good one. Well, now there's two buildings. The fairgrounds is put in the Goodman Building, which is the Candy too, same size, and there's just as many people in there as there were in the Candy Building. So when you fill those two buildings up, there's not as many people outside, so it feels like there's not as many people there. You look at the parking lot, though, the parking lot is loaded.
Yeah, people happy.
Yeah, a lot of folks had a lot of good vendors. Of course, the typical outdoor vendors. You've got your camouflage, you've got fishing, you've got fishing gear from rod and reels to baits, knife makers. You had turkey calls going off everywhere. It's turkey season. Everybody's thinking about turkey. You got some different outdoor wear from Habo, which is a great line of sports there right here in South Carolina. Born in South Carolina up in Rock Hill. Scott Clyburn, great product there. You have some guys from Over and Under down in Florida up some products, a couple different duck hunting type clothing wear. Of course, again, it's turkey season, so people are got their camouflage, lightweight camouflage out, your foliage type camouflage where you've got what they call the boat tamer suits, things like that, leafage suits that kind of hide you more like leaves on your side of your arms. So it was a good Classic.
Great. Did you get the attendance? They announced how many people came through the gates?
I did not get the attendance. Typically, every year, somewhere between 30,000 to 40,000 each year.
Yeah.
The big years has been about 40,000. We had some really big names in the past, but still, I think every year it's over 30,000 each year for the 3 days.
All right. To the South Carolina Archery in Schools Tournaments. I went to that a couple of years ago with you.
You did?
And it's a hoot watching these youngsters with the bow and the arrow and the talents and the skill it takes to compete at this level.
Yes, we have our archery school program. For those that may not be familiar with it, you compete with a Matthews Genesis bow. It's a very specific bow. It has no set draw length. The poundage goes from 10 to 20 pounds. It's variable. You can change it. And it works for 4th grade through 12th grade. The real neat thing about this program when they developed it is the same bow works for a 4th grader that works for a 12th grader. And the poundage variance is there to give the 12th grader the same amount of challenge as a 4th grader at 10 pounds. So at 20 pounds, the 12th grader gets the same challenge as the 4th grader does at a lower poundage with no limit on the draw capability. In other words, you can pull it back 6 inches, you can pull it back, whatever, 20 inches, whatever the draw is. So we had a good program. We had 3 regionals across the state with over, I think, let's see, the numbers, 2,653 students shot in these 3 regionals to get to state. Our state tournament's just over 1,000 folks. We had 1,034 students participate in the state tournament, which was held at the Sumter Exhibition Center.
Yep.
We've been doing that there for several years now. This was our 13th annual Archery in School state tournament. A lot of competition, as you said. It's a 3-day tournament now. We do 1 day for elementary, 1 day for middle school, and 1 day for high school. Our high school day was on Wednesday. Had a lot of competition there. We're going to read some scores off in a little bit. We also did the 3rd annual, what we call our IBO 3D tournament, which is really neat. It's a whole new aspect of the Archery in Schools program. Archery in Schools is a program based in schools. We've got just over 50,000 kids in the state of South Carolina shooting archery as part of the in-school program.
The technology with those bows, man, it's
incredible.
It's unbelievable.
It is incredible.
It's not quite the old school,
No,
bamboo thing like you used to see.
No, it's not a long bow. It's not the cams and wheels. Totally different now. Matthews at the top of the game, of course, did really well when they developed this Genesis bow. The really neat thing is, though, to think about, 50,000 kids in the state being part of this program in school.
Yeah.
Now compare that to middle and high school football, you got around 26, 27,000.
How do you explain the interest?
Because it is open to anyone of any athletic ability.
I was going to say the skill level that it takes to be a good archer is not as specific as it would be for football or basketball.
You don't have to be fast.
Right.
You don't have to be tall. For basketball, you don't have to be really, you don't have to be really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, an athlete is an athlete is an athlete. We can all talk about that and argue that all day long.
You still have to have the eye and hand coordination. Yeah.
No doubt about it. But archery is a level playing field for anyone. So we see a lot of kids who may not be a great football player or baseball player or basketball player or softball field, if you will. They'll do very well in archery and excel in that. And we've got schools. We had a school come from Georgia that was giving out scholarships. Anyone that would sign up, if they've got accepted to the school in Georgia, they were given a $5,000 scholarship in our tournament. Last year, we had a young man from Thomas Sumter Academy receive a full ride to his college in Georgia for archery.
Wow.
Because of his skill level. Just did really well, his form. The coach is looking at the kids, looking at who's got form, who's got interest in archery. And the NCAA has an active archery program. So this does go to a new level. Of course, it's Olympic-style archery, very basic, no sights. It's all basically using your fingers and using hand-eye coordination to get the arrow to the target. Bullseyes are best, is our biggest effort, again, with that many kids. But our 3D IBO is new. IBO stands for International Bowhunter Organization, and they've come in with NASP, and they're taking this to a level that, for me, is exciting because it takes our program and connects it to the wildlife department. You get to shoot at 3D animals. So you get to shoot a white-tailed deer, you get to shoot at a turkey or at a coyote or a ram or a pronghorn. So some North American game animals in there. Takes it to a different level. They still have the same 10 ring and the 9 ring there that's kind of etched into the animal, but you can't see it. It's not red and yellow. So it's just different. And it gets them in that game. It's really cool. And we enjoy seeing the transition to the 3D targets. A whole lot different. The targets are set from 15 to 10 meters. In the archery school, you shoot at 10 meters. You shoot 5 arrows practice, and then you shoot 3 rounds of 5 arrows for score at 10 meters, and you shoot 5 arrows of practice at 15 meters, and 3 rounds for score at 15 meters.
It's pretty neat to watch the time that you took me, I think 2 years ago, watching the kids when they're called to the starting spot, and they're given the go signal.
All done by whistle commands.
And it's all
goes off without a hitch. They understand the rules.
Yep. They don't talk.
Very safe. Nope.
They grab their bow and their arrow. They start firing away, and
we've got
the protocol is pretty specific about what you can and cannot do.
It is. Safety protocols are in there. Whistle commands. The kids know this. They're taught this in school in the in-school program. The schools have to have this as an in-school program. You have math teachers teach this. RTC program teaches it in a lot of cases. PE programs. So different areas it comes from. But the after-school competition, they pick from these kids to do the competition side, and it's pretty stringent.
Are you finding that many of the kids transfer this to the outdoors in terms of their desired type of hunting?
What we do see, not necessarily on the hunting side, we see kids buying bows at Christmas. They want a bow for Christmas, which is putting money back into what we call Pittman Robertson dollars, wildlife restoration dollars. So whether they hunt or not doesn't matter. The fact they have an interest in target shooting with archery, if they go out and buy a bow, they put money back into the system to provide for our wildlife restoration. So that's important to remember.
All right, we'll hit a break here. It is the captain, Billy Downer, here on Sports Talk. We're talking archery, the state archery in schools tournament. Give you some particulars of some winners and who else competed well and came in second and third, both in terms of teams and in terms of individuals. And we have a question of the day coming up in this segment of Sports Talk SC Wild. Back in a moment.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblum. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
And we continue on this Wednesday night edition of Sports Talk SC Wild from DNR, South Carolina Radio Network, with the captain Billy Downer in studio tonight. So we're talking about SC Archery in schools, the big tournament, the state tournament held recently in Sumter. So let's talk about some of the winners and some of the others who did well in the competition.
Sure. We had our high school teams on Wednesday. We'll talk about high school scores for a minute for our Bullseye tournament. First place was taken by Upstate Homeschool Hurricanes, a very active homeschool association. Our homeschool associations have really become active in archery. It's a sport they've kind of taken on for their own. They were first place. Second place for the Carolina Warriors homeschool. And then third place rounded out by White Knoll High School.
Oh.
White Knoll's been coming on strong the last few years, done very well. In the past, we've had schools, so Mid-Carolina up in Newberry, Palmyra's done very good. In the past, they've won state several times as well. But our home schools have come on strong. For individual scores, so remember, your high score, your perfect score is a 300. If you shot perfect, it's a 300.
Like bowling.
Literally the first thing I thought of.
Yeah. Of course,
how funny is that?
Never bowled a 300.
My mother has.
I'm sure she has. Pretty good.
The top boys from Lawrence District 55 High School, Justin Benson with a 297. Means he only had 3 errors out of the 10 ring.
That's great.
Out of the center. Second place, Matthew Lee with a 296 from Carolina Warriors Homeschool. And third place with a 290, Porter McLeod from Pendleton High School. Close scores there. 297. You can't get much better off perfect than that.
Tell me about, before we continue, tell me about coaches. Where do the coaches come from for these high schools who coach these teams? Are these people who have a history in archery, or do they just take like an assistant football coach and say, hey, you're going to go coach the
a lot of times
archers?
That's exactly.
Is that right?
A lot of times it's people that we train them in what's called BAI, basic archery instructor.
Yeah.
They come through our course. We teach that for free to schools, to schools who want the program, to teachers. Again, we have math teachers doing this. It's not just your PE coach, not just your football coach. Some of our coaches are former football coaches. Some of them are track coaches that take this up. Particularly some of the track coaches pick this up. Some of them are long-time coaches in the public school system, private schools alike. But it's not one particular person necessarily. A lot of times it is the PE coach that picks this up for sure. But they're not somebody necessarily that has a history of archery championships.
Right.
Sometimes they're an avid hunter. They like to bow hunt. So they have an interest in archery a lot of times. But the ones that take this serious, that take these kids through the program and go through the 11 steps of archery success and take them through this, they have proven that they can be successful.
Let's go to the girls.
The girls. First place, again, with a 297, Gracie Howard from Gilbert High School. Then second place, Madison Wilbur, 295 from the Capital City Eagles Homeschool Association. And then third place, Hannah Arnold with a 289 from White Knoll High School. Again, between first and second, 2 points.
Now, these 297s, so you're missing.
You may have 3 errors in the 9 ring instead of 10 ring. It's just off the center.
Right. So I'm wondering, I don't know if you happen to know this. Let's just take either Gracie or Justin there, who both had a 297. Like, how close did they come in hitting the bullseye with those 3?
I don't know. It's a good question, Bill.
I'm just wondering.
I don't have the answer.
Would you investigate that and report back to us in 2 weeks?
I can try to investigate it.
I want to see how they do with darts. That's what I want to see.
Darts, you know, it's funny. I see that show now. Darts is a big deal.
I love watching darts on television.
Especially when you've been drinking heavily, right?
Of course.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
All right, continue.
All right, high school teams for the IBO 3D. This is where they're shooting at a 3D target. So a really cool transition here. First place was Upstate Homeschool Hurricanes. Second place was Pendleton High School. And then third place was the Carolina Warriors Homeschool. Our individual boys, first place, Callan Pusateri with a 287.
Who's that?
Callan Pusateri. He is with a 287. Notice the drop-off here of the high scores, not the 290s.
Why is that?
Hard, because you're shooting a 3D animal, the target is not like the 10 ring is not illuminated with a color. You've got to know where they hit the target in the vital zone. So a little bit different there. Upstate Homeschool Hurricanes. Second place, Brian Johnson, 283 from Carolina Warriors, who tied with Hoan Kendrick. I remember how to pronounce Hoan's name because his coach told me Hoan Kendrick with 283. They were broke. Tie was broke by 10 ring again, 10 in the 9 ring. Break that off. Carolina Warriors Homeschool. I think they had to shoot off for second and third, actually.
Now look at the girls, and the high score between the girls and the boys went to a girl.
You'll see the girls. Madison Wilbur, 295, Capital City Eagles. Second place, Gracie Howard, same name again, 293 from Gilbert High School. And then Savannah Wolf with a 280 from River Bluff High School.
So why are the girls better?
I will tell you, Phil, girls in our shooting sports, both shotgun and archery, and archery particularly, the girls are better. Because they don't come in with any preconceived notions. They don't come in thinking they're better. They don't come in thinking they already know how to do it. Guys will get out there and think they know how to do it. They won't listen to the coach. Girls will listen to the forms.
Here's betting that Aja Wilson would go out and score a 300.
She probably could. Again, I will say this. Athletes are athletes. They will do well.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be a great athlete to do well at archery. But girls typically will listen to the coach. They will follow through, do all the right things, bring the finger back to the.
You showed me that when I was there. You were showing me
So you're saying they take direction well.
Yes.
But you were showing me how they bring it.
I have issues with
how they bring it back and they release it, and there's a certain skill to actually releasing it so it flies the right way.
Yep. They bring the finger, the proper form back. They're bringing that. They're going to anchor point is important.
Right.
Anchor on the face, the same place. When they release the arrow, bringing that thumb back and touching the shoulder. That form is just, and they listen. They do those form techniques and they get it right.
Also, again, it's a repeat motion.
It is. It is
muscle memory. A lot of muscle memory.
It is absolutely.
How much do you think these kids practice?
They practice every day.
Yeah, I mean, like hours wise. How much are they putting into it?
I'm gonna say they practice at least an hour, 2 hours a day.
That's a lot.
Practicing. And a lot of our schools are going to go to nationals. Now, when they go to nationals, you're going to see the difference. A team here that takes first may not even be in the top 20 in the nation.
Really?
Because the scores, all the shooters on the teams that win are in the 295, 297. They're only missing 3 out of the 10 ring. It's hard to get your whole team. When you go to a team, they can have as many as 24. 12 scores count. Out of those 12 scores, 8 have to be one sex, 4 of the other. That used to be 8 boys and 4 girls. Well, now a lot of teams want 8 girls and 4 boys because the girls tend to do that. But you have to have a mixture. It has to be 8 and 4. And that's one of the rules of NAS to keep a level playing field. Keep it even.
All right, got about a minute, so let's jump into 2 things here. Turkey season.
Turkey season in full swing. We've talked about that. Goes through May 5th on private lands. Now that April 2nd is behind us, WMA lands, wildlife management area lands are now open. So a lot of hunting opportunity for folks out there. The birds are still a lot of times they're locked up with the hens. Some are moving away. I'm finding for myself afternoons have been better when the birds get away from the hens. If you can get between where the birds are loafing during the day and where they want to roost in the evening, you can catch birds coming back to the roost on the ground. That'll be a lot more susceptible to the call.
You got a good one on Easter Sunday?
I did. Afternoon, finished up a nice bird, 10-inch spear. Very proud of that. Hard hunt, 2 hours, but had a lot of fun that day, on that afternoon. Question for the day.
Question of the day.
Can I call for someone else if I've tagged out? If you've shot 3 birds and you have no more tags left, can you continue to hunt or take others hunting? The answer is yes, you may continue to take others hunting. You may not carry a gun. You may call, though, actively call, and you may guide someone else, even if you're tagged out. But you
cannot carry the gun.
Cannot carry the gun. But you have the opportunity to take others out there to enjoy the great outdoors. And you can call for them and help them enjoy time in the woods.
Just make sure you're aware when those birds come home to roost.
Yeah.
When you want to be around.
Well said. Well said.
That's not well said.
Actually, it was. That's pretty good.
That's got nothing to
For
do
a
with
layman.
great outdoors.
That's layman.
That sounds like
layman
somebody
terms.
from Brooklyn would say something like that.
I take direction well. I take direction.
Great stuff. Enjoyed it.
Be safe out there.
I always love talking about the high schools and the shooting sports and how well the young people in our state are doing. We will see you back here a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
With our next edition of SC Wild. Thank you, Captain Billy Downer. You can be reached how?
Reach us at DNR website, dnr.sc.gov. Always, or on Facebook. Look at the Department of Natural Resource Facebook page. Send us in your questions there.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow night on Sports Talk.